Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Mr. Ferguson here again. Thank you for stopping by for another video. It's Memorial Day weekend, actually the Friday before Memorial Day. So a big shout out to all of those who have served in our country and died for the sake of the United States. We thank you and appreciate you. There's so many people that had it so rough in the past wars and conflicts that gave up. And I know I was in the military for 12 years with the National Guard with 3 deployments. I went to Iraq 2 times. I went to Egypt once, which was more of like a vacation. I would do that again in a heartbeat. But I think back to previous soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines that served before me and how much way rougher they had it than we ever could imagine as soldiers in the 2000s and early 1990s. But anyways, just want to say that, and we're very thankful for all they did for our country. We wouldn't be here today without them. With that said, guys, let's get right into the video. I'm trying to do better about shortening them up and not speaking too long because I don't want to lose anybody and bore you to death. But I thought it would be good to talk about why temperatures in the soil matter, why does it matter to you, and why should we care about it. So jumping in it real fast, there's really 2 numbers you need to remember. Well, we'll explain that. So the 2 numbers you need to remember are 55 and 70. 55 and 70. Now, there's a caveat to that 55. You need to remember that twice. And here's what I mean. So if we're in winter and we're coming out of winter into spring, soil temperatures are well below 55 degrees and they're rising as we get into spring, right? Because springtime, we get warmer eventually. So once we're getting close to the mark of 55 degrees, that should set off a radar if you're a lawn care person that wants to try to make your yard good, weed free, and all that good stuff. You want to have 55 degrees on your radar. Now, how am I going to know when it's 55 degrees, Mr. Ferguson? Well, there's a great website that I'm going to post right now that you should see below my finger. And at this website, it's green something, but I can't remember off the top of my head. You can go and search your location soil temperature actively, currently, as well as a few days back of a history of what the temperatures have been, as well as years historically what the temperature has been this time of year on this day. So it's a very good tool, very accurate. I found it nothing but accurate and useful in everything I've done so far this year working on my yard. But you want to get that 55 degree mark, and just before that, what you want to do is start looking at pre-emergence, because that's when 55 degree hits, weeds start popping up. That's when we're going to get your beginning of not quite crabgrass yet, but broadleaf weeds, and all these weeds start inching up. Everything starts coming to life at 55 degrees, included your fescue. So weeds start coming up as well. So that's when we're looking at our first mow around that time frame and all of that good jazz. So we want to make sure that we have our pre-emergent down prior to the 55 degree mark. So that's, to me, it's prodiamine. That's what I use. It could be other things or products that you've researched and you want to use, but 55 degrees just prior, around the 52, 53 degree mark is when we want to lay down our pre-emergent. Now, you only want to do an application that's really about 30 days, because in the next 30 days rolling over should bring you somewhere around the beginning of May, I believe, or end of April, somewhere around there, depending on where you live. That's when we want to do a second application, because the next key number is 70. So as we hit 55 degrees and it's getting warm, it's going to begin to quickly or faster raise up to 70 degrees. Now, why is 70 degrees important? Because at 70 degrees, that's what the lawn care nut refers to as peak weed season or peak party season, where at 70 degrees, that's where crabgrass joins in. It's popping up. Other broadleaf weeds like if you got wild Bermuda, like I've just found that I have in my yard, that's when that actually started popping up. So right before 70 degrees, we want to be looking at that number, because we want to do another application of pre-emergent in our yard before that 70 degree mark, so that we can last through the summer weed free and not having weeds pop up all over our fescue. So that's the main thing there. And of course, fertilizer, all that is involved in this. We're just talking about really pre-emergence and weeds at this moment, not really the fertilizer. So anyways, after we hit that 75, we put down our second application of pre-emergent. We're stopping weeds. Now we're past 70 degrees. You're really getting into summertime at that point. Now what we're doing is we're looking at between 75 and even going up to 80, depending on where you live. I'm in North Carolina. I know that's highly possible, even higher. But what we're doing at that point is using products like what we talked about before in the other video, which is Speed Zone, which is Weed Be Gone, Spectacle, where post-emergence come into play, where weeds have popped up and broken our pre-emergent barrier, which will happen, guaranteed, no matter what kind of lawn you have. You're going to have weeds pop up here and there, and the proper post-emergent is what we want to use to eliminate those onesie twosies here in our yard, as well as irrigating, because obviously right now it's around 92 degrees here in North Carolina, so I'm in the shed taking some shade out of the sun, but we need to be irrigating as well, which also produces some weeds while it's getting hot, the water, things are growing, all that good. All that good stuff. Choking on my own spit. So the next key point is, again, 55 degrees, but on the downside, coming out of spring, out of summer, we're coming down, temperatures are dropping in our soil. We want to check when we're getting close to 55 degrees. Now, we're not there yet in 2019. Right now, we're probably around the 75, 78 degree mark here in North Carolina, maybe higher than that. So we're in the summer months where it's post-emergent, where we're killing weeds, but we're looking towards the future when the next 55 degree mark, so right around 58, 57, getting closer into probably August, September timeframe, maybe before that, we want to start thinking about two things. Either one, we're going to lay down pre-emergent to stop POA annua. If that is an issue with you, like it is for me, we could put down prodiamine prior to 55, because once we hit 55 in the fall, guys, that's when POA annua is sprouting right back up. All the seeds that it dropped this year in your yard, that's when that's sitting dormant because it's a cool season weed. We're going to start seeing again starting at 55 degrees in the fall, all the way 6 months until May, of 2020. So this is the key time to make a decision. Do we A, overseed and aerate? You can still aerate, but do we want to lay down seed? Or B, do we want to lay down prodiamine to stop the POA from coming up? And that decision has to be made by you guys. Each homeowner has to make that choice, because we can't do both. If we lay down seed and aerate and we also put down prodiamine, the seed is just going to get burned up and it's not going to germinate. That's the whole purpose of the prodiamine, to stop the POA when it tries to pop through the ground at 55 degree mark. Well, if we lay down seed, it's trying to germinate, it's going to hit the same barrier and fry up. So it's one or the other, and that's the tough decision we as fescue owners have to make. So it's one or the other. Now, the caveat to that scenario of the AB situation choice there is tenacity, which is what we've talked about a lot on this channel. Tenacity has the ability to be applied while we lay seed down as well, which is what I'm trying this year. Crossing my fingers, hoping that I can germinate seed and I can also suppress the POA, because tenacity does not kill POA annua. Tenacity has the ability, on the label, if you read it, it'll say suppress POA annua. Now, if we suppress it with 3 applications, could it kill it? I don't know. We'll find that out. It killed it in the heat here in the summer with our test, but we'll see what happens in the fall. So that's another option, I guess, option C for you, if you so choose that. So again, guys, that about breaks it down. Your 3 numbers are 55, 70, and 55 that we want to pay attention. Use that tool, bookmark it on your phone. I do that, and that's how I just quickly pull up soil temperatures in my area when it was getting close to those pre-emergent times. That's exactly what I did, and I knew, hey, today's the day I need to lay down my prodiamine. And obviously when it starts getting a little bit cooler, I'll be pulling up that same web page on my phone to find out when we're getting close to that 55 degree mark, to know when it's about ready to seed as well, because we want to get our seed in the ground right around that mark as well to make sure we're germinating. So anyways, guys, thank you again for stopping by. I saw on the channel today that someone had subscribed from the last video. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I hope we're not boring you too much. I'm trying to shorten up the videos a little bit and cut here and there things that are unnecessary, because I just like to babble and talk a lot. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Like and subscribe if you're watching and you're not a subscriber. I would appreciate the support. Like the video, and let's try to kill this POA together, guys. Take care. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and be safe out there.